Hello, hope you're well. Thanks for joining this latest edition of Behind the Tapes, made by Tigers Plus for Tigers Plus members and beyond at this time of restriction and without any live speedway, of course. Our thanks very much to Kyle Bickley and to Ricky Wells for stepping in as our first guest over the last couple of weeks. Brave lads. So to tonight then, we're going to cross the North Sea and speak to a man who has entertained us Glasgow fans royally in the last couple of seasons at Ashfield. A man who wears his heart on his sleeves. The man who I call Classy, Claus Vissing. Good evening, Klaus.
Good evening. How are you?
Thanks for joining us, Klaus. Thanks for giving up some time. Klaus, some frustrating times for us all, and mostly for you Speedway guys who are chomping at the bit, desperate to get back on track and do some racing. How are you managing to occupy your time across there in Denmark?
I've been so lucky that I could just carry on the work I had through the winter. So I've pretty much just been busy with working. So it's a little bit of a shame. I wish to just be back on my bike, but yeah, the times is what it is. So just have to get the best out of it.
Klaus, we're going to come and talk about the last couple of seasons at Glasgow. We're going to touch on what hopefully lies ahead this season as you line up for Newcastle now, the new Newcastle #1. We'll talk about that. What about life in Denmark? We were hearing this week that Denmark are the first country in Europe to come out of lockdown in terms of schools and certain other activities.
Yeah, at the moment, they try to open up the country slowly. And yeah, like you said, I think the oldest of the kids that go to normal school have been back at school since Monday, and it seems like it's pretty positive with not more people getting the COVID-19, and it seems like it works. So hopefully the country will start up opening like slowly soon, and we'll get back into more like sports activities as well, and speedway will be one of them.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed, Klaus. Klaus, I mentioned in the intro, you've been a Glasgow rider for the past 2 seasons, and looking back at those 2 seasons, pretty successful times for the club. Maybe not quite as successful as we would all have wished for, of course. When you think back on your last couple of years racing, what's your thought? What's your immediate thoughts and emotions about Glasgow?
Um, I think I'm back now. You lost me a bit.
That's okay. We've
Sorry.
got you back.
Yeah.
I'll just asking, Klaus,
Okay.
when you think back to the last couple of seasons at Glasgow, what's your immediate and initial thoughts about the whole thing?
It's a professional team to be a part of. The club is good. The fans are awesome. It's a great place to be. And sometimes, like I always said, it's too great of a place because everybody loves it. But no, it's a perfect place. I like it there as well.
You developed quite a rapport, Klaus, with the Glasgow crowd, and you were one rider who consistently celebrated heat wins, and you done a lot of the thumping of your chest and all that good stuff, and that seemed to help the Glasgow fans to take to you and really give you support home and away, Klaus.
Yeah, it's always brilliant. We need all the support we can get, and there's nothing better than when you get the respect back from the fans when you go around and you're celebrating laps. So I just love that.
Klaus, we're going to. I mentioned a Glasgow rider for 2 seasons. We're going to have a look back at one of your heats just now from 2018, and this was you lining up as a team partner to Chris Harris, and I think Mason Campton came to Ashfield with with Jordan Stewart. You're riding it with here. Mason Campton in the yellow and black helmet came to Ashfield as part of an all-conquering Workington side. Thinking about the track changes 2018 to 19, can you talk us through the differences from a riding point of view?
Yeah, like in 18, when they changed the track over, they wanted to make the track more raceable and like build better racing and more overtaking. And I think in 18 we probably struggled a little bit with the dirt, and we like everybody were new in it, and we didn't know how to do it to make the best out of it, and I think we actually got a decent track put together. Not to say compared to 2019, we made the track a slightly bit slicker, and it just showed that it produced so much more greater racing because you could go a bit closer to each other into the corners, and there were more racing lines. Obviously, I prefer a bit of dirt on the track as well, so I think in the end we actually made it work with a bit of dirt on the outside and a bit more slicker on the inside. So that was a bit for all type of guys. So you knew it would produce a lot of good racing, and that's what people want to see as well. So that was great.
One thing I think I noticed about your racing lines at Ashfield, Klaus, and maybe you can confirm whether there's anything to this, and I'm thinking back to 2018, it was a bit more apparent to me, a bit more obvious to me, but you seem to enter that third bend a lot wider than the majority of riders, and I guess just go for the dirt and round a lot of people. Is that a tactic that you formed and were aware of?
It depended on how the track was, but sometimes you had a bit of a good weight if you could get in a bit wider in third bend. You had both ways. You could always go either keep it on the dirt on the outside and maybe pass on the outside, or maybe turn behind the back of the guy in front of you and just cut underneath him out of fourth bend, and then pass him up the straight. So you left yourself with a bit of a few opportunities if you had the speed. Yeah,
and I think that's exactly what we well described. I think that's something that we all enjoyed seeing Claus Vissing do over those couple of seasons. Klaus, we've got some questions from Tigers Plus members, which I'm going to read out to you now. The first question comes from Claire Harkness, and Claire asks, "Do you have a favourite and least favourite away track? Away from Glasgow, I guess."
Yeah. I like Redcar. I actually like Leicester as well. Somerset is a good track as well. If I can say a dislike, I would probably. I don't like Eastbourne. Sorry.
I might have a question up my sleeve about Eastbourne later, but is it because
it's not the thing? It's just more the track, the size of the track. And
yeah.
It's a different style of track, and I don't prefer that much. It's not. I don't. That's probably what I would say is the least likable, and the same with Ipswich. It's not my favorite. It's still awesome to ride when you pick up the lines and the track is good. But it's not my favorite tracks. And the same with Edinburgh. It's more. What can you say? It's more a technical track instead of a racer's track.
Yep, I understand.
And I prefer my racing compared to could be in tactic. Yeah.
You're a full throttle type of guy, Klaus. I think it's fair to say. Next question. Exactly. Karen Nicholson asks, "What was your most memorable Speedway meeting and why?" Now that can be anywhere, any point in your career. Most memorable and why?
Ooh. There's actually some good ones, but if we just take it back to short, because I have many, it's one of my things, one of my goals is to just enjoy what I'm doing. So I have a few, but if I'm taking it back to turning, where sometimes it's easier to look at good things when you have something shit to compare with, and where I think I had the best shit to good way was probably at Leicester in the grand grand final in 2019, where we was away to Leicester, and I just threw my first heat away with touching the tape, and didn't really kick into the track just to start. Everything looked shit, and like we as a team was probably struggling a bit as well and all that, and I just managed to just turn that around to success for myself and put as many points on the board to the team as well. And I think that's probably, if I just look back to the last one, that was a pretty good success for me.
remember it well, Claus, and for all the Glasgow fans who were there that night, it felt like we had salvaged something big from that first leg. It gave us more than a fighting chance to bring back to Ashfield in the second leg. Yep, I remember Heat 15. Gaynor Lindsay asked the question, and this is something I had no knowledge of, Claus. Gaynor's question is, what's the reason for having rider number 986?
Oh, that's my date of birth.
So it's September 86, is it? 986?
No, it's because I'm born in 1986.
Oh, okay, I get you. Okay, understood. There's your answer.
Why.
There's your answer,
Yeah.
Gaynor. And then the final question from Tigers Plus members, Claus, is from Gary Tate. And Gary asks, he says, is it Newcastle will be the 5th Northern club that you've ridden for since 2013? What's the most positive thing you can say about each of the Northern clubs you've raced for? So let's start with Workington. What was a positive about Workington, Claus?
Oh, I would say Tony Jackson, and then I would say the track. Yeah.
Good. Tony's a good guy.
Tony is a good guy. He was the guy that made me come there. He's a really good guy. The track is good as well. And it's some nice people there as well, to be fair. The only downside is it's so far away, like out on the west coast, but it's a nice place to come to. So it's not to say everything is nice there, but just to mention some of it, so nobody gets feel left out or anything.
Good answer. Same question about Berwick in Edinburgh.
Edinburgh actually took me when I didn't have anywhere to ride. I got stuck a bit in the Elite League with some other clubs, and I got left with no team to ride for, and I came to the Benevolent Front in Berwick, and Edinburgh needed a rider because I think there was something with Sam's visa or something, and they gave me the chance to ride for Edinburgh, and to be fair, they stuck with me. I wasn't really that good at that special home track, but got myself decent sorted by the end of it, and to be fair, they stuck me for the whole season, and I'll take my hat off for that. That was kind of them. Berwick, it's to be fair, it's a bit like Glasgow, you know. You make you feel welcome, and you just feel like you're part of everything there. The track is more a racer track, so obviously, like Workington, the track talks positive to me as well. You know, when I get settled in there, I can find my fastest way around and get myself feel like home and get stuck into it. So yeah, that's one of the positive for Berwick as well. Not to say there's many positive things about everywhere you go, but yeah.
Good answers, Claus. Good answers. Thanks, Tigers Plus members, for your questions. Hope that answers things nicely. Claus, I've got to make two comments. We're talking about lockdown and how things are over in Denmark. I take it the hairdressers haven't opened yet.
They have. I've got my hair cut in the side and everything.
Did you?
You should see me before. I was actually thinking about. I haven't even done it because it happened so quick. But I was thinking about, let my hair grow, and I thought that we were going to be locked down for a long time, and then just before when they open the country, I'll make now we're back to normal, and now I need my haircut and make a really bad one. But I wasn't really that long hair before I got cut. And it happened so quick because there was one of my friends, Mrs. She's a haircutter, and she cut me straight the day it opened. So
I'm not one to talk, Claus.
Made a picture of it.
Listen, I'm not one to talk. It must be the camera angle. Another thing I was going to ask you about, I'm a little bit disappointed, Claus, that you're not doing this interview from your hot tub, like Ricky Wells was telling us.
Oh, Ricky's talking about too much shit. No, it's okay. It's nice to have, and I actually enjoy it when I go for working out and stuff. It's nice to chill in that.
Good. Listen, guys, let's go back and talk about more speedway. So I guess all good things have got to come to an end, and over the course of the winter, of course, all the teams have to look at their lineups for the following season, and probably because of your good season at Glasgow and the average that you managed to achieve, that probably worked against you in terms of remaining at Glasgow, and you've moved on as Newcastle's new number one. About another new challenge for you, Claus.
Yeah. to be fair, I've actually looked forward to come to Newcastle, and especially to be on that team. I had a good talk with the manager there, and I actually feel that was the right move. So it's a shame it never it haven't happened yet. Let's say it like that, because we don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, it's one of them things, and I just take it as a new achievement and see where that will bring me. Definitely.
And I think Claus, it's a track. The Newcastle track is one that you've got a fairly good record around. And I imagine if you're riding that every week, you're going to be more confident. And I could see you living up to the number one diamond this season.
I hope so. That was my goal. I actually been training hard this winter to really know that I will be ready for it. So the whole air went a bit off the balloon when all this happened. But definitely, like I said before with Barry and all that, the more laps you get in, the more you'll be settled. The good thing about Newcastle is, compared to Glasgow, is there's not so many people that like to come there. So you have a better chance of a good home advantage. But as well, it is a specialist track, and I could definitely and will probably learn a lot from it, and maybe get more settled into it and take that with me and anywhere I go. Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Claus, before the lockdown, etc., kicked in, you were across at Newcastle and managed to get to meet your new teammates. A very interesting looking team, a mixture of experience and some unknown qualities. And I'm thinking of the two Czech lads in particular.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to be fair, we actually had a good get together and had a good chat about everything. And I think we were probably not the strongest team on the board, but we were probably, I would say, we would be pretty solid all through. So that can also win matches. So yeah, it's just we haven't had the chance to show that.
And you have a former speedway rider as a promoter at Newcastle, Rob Grant. There's not too many riders who step into the promotional shoes, Claus.
No, it's perfect. Definitely that's one of the reason why I choose Newcastle as well. That Rob got involved with it, and he have done a hell lot of a job for getting all this sorted with all the people that helps him as well. Not to forget, and it's just such a shame to not seeing it happen there yet. So yeah, I think we're all sitting here and just waiting on getting the go.
Well, fingers crossed that yet happens in the next couple of months or so. What about you? You talked about you're trying to be fitter than you ever have been before. I guess you're out on the mountain bike and doing these good things that you do. But have you managed to have any practice over in Denmark?
No, we haven't managed. Just before the lockdown, my mechanic came to pick up the bikes and took them over to the UK, so it's all ready. And that was the day before they closed the border here in Denmark. And then obviously when that happened, I haven't gone anywhere to practice before that. So I haven't been on the bike yet, to be fair. There are a few places they're starting to open and practice in Denmark now, but it's still with like a lot of prospect in how many you can be, and you need to make sure you're not too many and all this. But I haven't been out practice yet, so I'll just wait and see what's going to happen, because it's no reason for going out practicing if you don't know what you're practicing for or training or whatever, because we don't know when we're going to start and all that. Obviously, I'm keeping my fitness okay with the mountain biking and stuff, but no, I haven't been on the bike yet.
And Claus, a question which probably isn't asked often enough to riders. Behind every successful rider is a good team in the pits. And you mentioned, not by name, but that Martin and Ethan look after you over in the UK. Tell us a little bit about how much those guys contribute to everything that you do, Claus.
Oh, Martin is it's my best man. He makes sure to make everything as easy as possible for me and help me with everything he can do. So he's definitely my one leg. I can't do anything without having him with me. Not to say I can't do anything alone, but Martin is a big thing that this can happen. So I'm very pleased to have Martin and Ethan with me, and they're working their ass out for me all the time, and I'm really happy with that.
Both good lads, and had a few laughs with them over the times at Glasgow. Claus, before we go any further, and before I forget to, thank you very much for donating some merchandise to Diane, who's doing some fundraising that TigersPLUS and Glasgow Speedway will benefit from. So thank you very much indeed for that.
You're welcome.
Let's again have another look back to 2019, and away from Glasgow, you were still, of course, doing some laps at Premiership level, and ended the season at Swindon with a league winners medal, Claus. That wasn't too bad.
No, not at all. No, that was good as well. Definitely. It actually helped me a bit because I didn't have towards the end. I didn't have much racing more in either like open meetings in Germany or anything in Poland, and not in Denmark either. So I really needed more racing to just be race fit to get to compare myself with the other guys that are racing twice or 3 or 4 times a week. So it was brilliant that Swindon gave me the chance to come and race for them, and yeah, it was just great to meet the people there as well, and have a good laugh with all these guys, and to be able to be with a brilliant team like that, and us to win the gold by the end of the season. That was awesome.
And at Premiership level, Claus, you're a man of several clubs. Maybe you just have one of those averages that means that you tend to to have to move around or be forced to move around from time to time. Are you content? Are you pleased with your form at Premiership level in the UK, or do you think there's more space for you to go on and have better success at that level?
It could well be. It's hard to tell. I was just, to be fair, I don't think too much of that. I just go out and race my heart out, and just do the best. And especially this last season with Swindon, because it was so important for me to perform as the best as possible. So this team I pretty much joined like halfway through the season. Made sure they got their gold medal they deserved. And not to say that Glasgow deserved it even more, but yeah, that's the way it goes.
Claus, just remind me, because I've not done this research, and I'm talking about UK Speedway here. What medal collection have you managed to gather over your time in British Speedway?
I don't think I actually ever won a gold medal in the English Speedway. I won a second with Somerset in the old Premiership, and I can't remember if we won any like a trophy cup something with Peterborough in the Elite League back then. But it must have been something like that, yeah. To be fair, I can't really remember much of it either.
So hungry for more winners' medals, Claus. That's the answer.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Claus, we're going to watch you in action before too much longer. In a few minutes, we'll watch one of your heats from that grand final back in October. Just before that, I did mention earlier on, when you look back at 2019, when I as a supporter thinks back to 2019, one of the significant events, if I can describe it that way, was Glasgow's visit to Eastbourne during the season. There was lots of controversy, as we know. I'm not looking for you to say anything controversial necessarily, but you had a you had a ban. You incurred a 2-match ban from memory. And thinking back to that day, Klaus, um, how stressful was it? Because we've heard Craig Cook, we've heard some other people talk about how under pressure and how volatile the Eastbourne crowd were towards the Glasgow Riders right before the meeting started. When you think back to it, do you have regrets about what happened that day? I guess, and
yeah, in a way, but obviously I do regret. We came there to do speedway. We didn't came there to make a fight and all this hassle. So if I could change that, I would probably just come there totally professional and don't even think about whatever they were doing, because that we made them win before we even started, and that was their plan, 100%. But yeah, it's a shame it happened that way, and it should never have happened. But when I look back at it in another way, yeah, it's hard to tell. I need to be careful what I say here, but if I was in the same situation, it was just literally just the way I would probably, because like people were jumping on Greg Cook and his dad, like probably the most of the people I've seen. And that's just where my heart went off with me, and I couldn't stand there and just watch that. No chance.
yeah.
But probably be clever. I should just have went there, try to pull people away.
Yeah.
But that's where it goes, and I can learn from that.
An intimidating atmosphere, and as you said, I guess Glasgow Riders allowed themselves to be influenced by that tactic, if that's what it was, but certainly by the atmosphere that day. And no, I appreciate you taking the question on it, Klaus. And we live and learn, don't we? It's all part of the speedway education. Let's think forward now to we've already touched on the grand final. That was the objective all season long, wasn't it? For Glasgow to get to the final, and Glasgow and Leicester all year long were undoubtedly the standout teams. They were swapping places at the top of the championship. Glasgow could have won at Leicester during the normal season, but didn't. And I guess Leicester could probably count a number of times where they could have gathered more points. In the end, it was a Glasgow-Leicester final. From your point of view, the correct two teams?
Yeah, definitely.
And the final itself, I seem to remember, typically in Speedway that these finals come around when the tracks are not perfect, not at the best, but we've got to deal with that. That night at Leicester, in the first leg that you spoke about, track conditions that particular night weren't easy, Klaus, were they? There was some rain not long before start time, I seem to remember.
Yeah, true, definitely.
And you touched upon Heat 15 already. You and Rasmus managed to claw back a 5-1, and that set up the second leg quite nicely. It wasn't job done, wasn't the job that we wanted to do, but we gave ourselves a fighting chance.
Yeah, for sure. We knew at Leicester that the last three heats that night really counted on making as much points as possible. So we had the best opportunity at home to pull it all back, and it was brilliant that I managed to pop out a start in 15 as well, and me and Rasa could follow each other home for 5-1 in that heat. So we had a good chance at home.
Have you managed, Klaus, to watch the documentary to relive some of last season, and in particular the grand final?
Yeah, definitely. But there's still so much missing. But I know they've done a good job. It's the whole season you need to cut down into next to nothing. Compared to it's a whole year of speedway. So definitely, yeah.
So from a personal point of view, you enjoyed some big occasions last year. You were in that grand final in the Premiership with Swindon and had some success. You were in the grand final with Glasgow. It didn't quite work out the way we wanted it. But looking back at those two legs, Klaus, you can only do what you can do as an individual rider and contribute your points. And certainly in the second leg, the home leg in Glasgow, you had a particularly impressive night.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was my first maximum for the season.
You saved it for the right event, Klaus.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also seem to remember that night it was a bit of a bruising night for you. You were down on the track 2 or 3 times, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was a pretty busy night for Martin as well, to keep the bike running and making sure everything was all right. So we did a brilliant job.
Well, listen, I promised you were in great form that night. I promised we would sit back and enjoy one of your heat wins on the night. And here is now a heat where you're the sole Glasgow rider up against Ellis Perks of Leicester. Let's have a look now. Video archives, Claus, for years to come. Classy Claus Vissing at his absolute best that night. When you think back, Claus, you must have been proud of your efforts, proud of your performance.
Oh, say that again. Yeah, you just dropped out.
Sorry, when you look back to that grand final in October, you must have been very proud of your personal performance.
Yeah, for sure. But to be fair, I thought about that when it was all done. In the situation, I was just, I just took heat by heat and just took it as it was. The evening we were there, and we were there to win, and it didn't really happen. But yeah, when I look back at it, obviously I did what I could do, and it was just not our night. It wasn't meant to be, and that's the way it was. Everybody in the team fighted their heart out for winning that meeting and pulling them points back. But yeah, it just didn't happen.
No, I absolutely agree with you, Claus. It just wasn't going to be our year at Glasgow, and we move on and we go on the hunt for more success in future, and hopefully 2020 can yet give us some speedway to look forward to. Claus, we'll let you get back to your weekend now. You've got some family things to do, and thank you very much for taking the time to join us. We really hope that we get to see you back at Ashfield before too much longer, albeit racing in a Diamonds race jacket. We wish you every success for this season. And one final question, 2021 and beyond, if you were to be asked to come back to Glasgow, how long would you hesitate?
About that long. Nah, it's hard to say. I got a new opportunity now, and I really want to prove a point there as well. But yeah, I love my time at Glasgow, and like you said, it was a good time, and things don't last forever. And it's a good thing, I think, for me to move on as well, and try to do something else and make myself something there. But yeah, I really hope to see you all soon at Glasgow even though it will be in a Newcastle race jacket this year. But yeah, just fingers crossed that we can get started soon.
Thank you very much, Klaus. Folks, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's sit-down chat with Klaus. We're hoping in the next couple of days to advertise, give you a heads up on who we're going to talk to next week. All I'll say by way of a clue is we hope to catch up with a rider who's currently quarantined out in Poland. You can work it out for yourself perhaps. We'll let you know who that is in hopefully just a couple of days' time. Until then, have a good week, look after yourselves, take care.